Star Wars wasn't born a phenomenon. It was a disaster waiting to collapse. But behind the lightsabers and the Force, it was rejection at every level. Studios called it gibberish. The crew thought Lucas was insane. And the special effects company didn't exist until Lucas invented it out of desperation. These are 20 hidden facts about Star Wars, and buried inside the deserts and the Death Star, it was one man's fever dream against an industry that called him crazy. The rebellion wasn't on screen. It was behind the camera. And the empire that tried to kill it became the blueprint for every blockbuster that followed. Number 20, the script nobody wanted. Before Star Wars became a cultural earthquake, it was a laughingstock. George Lucas shopped his script to every major studio in Hollywood. Universal passed. United Artists passed. Disney called it space fantasy gibberish for children. Only Alan Ladd Jr. at Fox took a chance. Fox was so certain it would flop. Number 19. Alec Guinness hated every second. Alec Guinness took Obi-Wan for money, negotiating 2.25% of back-end gross, eventually earning over $95 million. On set, he called the dialogue rubbish and the story fairy tale nonsense. He refused autographs from young fans, telling parents they watched too much of that rubbish. In letters, he admitted having no idea what it's really about. Number 18. Industrial light and magic didn't exist. When Lucas needed effects, no Hollywood company could deliver his vision, so he founded ILM from scratch in a Van Nuys warehouse, staffed by college kids who'd never worked on features. Early tests were disasters. Models exploded. The motion control camera malfunctioned constantly. Fox executives visited, saw the chaos, and nearly shut it down. But Lucas refused to quit. ILM invented modern visual effects and became the most influential effects company in history. Number 17. Harrison Ford called it stupid. Ford was a carpenter when Lucas asked him to read lines with auditioning actors. Ford thought the dialogue was terrible, famously complaining, "George, you can type this shit, but you sure can't say it." He rewrote his lines constantly. Lucas hated it, but admitted Ford's instincts were better. Ford spent decades calling Star Wars a job, even lobbying to kill Han in Return of the Jedi. Yet his refusal to worship the material made Han Solo real. The smuggler who didn't believe in the Force was played by an actor who didn't believe in the script. Number 16. The crew thought it was a joke. The British crew in Tunisia couldn't take Star Wars seriously. They mocked the robots, laughed at Jawas, and questioned Lucas's competence. When Lucas explained scenes involving Wookiees and protocol droids, crew members giggled. They treated the 32-year-old director like a film student playing dress-up. Producer Gary Kurtz threatened to fire anyone who undermined Lucas. What they saw as amateur nonsense became the most profitable film of the decade. Number 15. The Cantina was casting rejects. The Mos Eisley Cantina was built from desperation. Lucas needed a dozen alien species, but had budget for maybe 4 costumes. The creature shop scavenged rejected monster masks, Halloween props, and leftovers from horror films. One creature was literally a devil mask spray-painted gray. Some aliens were crew members in rubber gloves. The scene was filmed in one chaotic day, with extras stumbling through fogged-up masks. What was supposed to be throwaway became Star Wars' most memorable location. Number 14. Darth Vader was 3 people. Vader wasn't one actor, but 3. David Prowse wore the suit and delivered lines in a thick West Country accent that sounded like a farmer. Lucas hired James Earl Jones to re-record every line, but kept him uncredited. Bob Anderson performed all lightsaber duels because Prowse couldn't handle choreography. Prowse spent decades bitter, leaking plot details out of spite. Jones took the job for $7,000, thinking it would flop. Anderson worked anonymously. 3 men, 1 icon, and most of them resented it. Number 13. The lightsaber was rotoscoped frame by frame. The lightsaber effect nearly bankrupted production. Early tests using reflective props looked like tinfoil sticks. The breakthrough: artists hand-painted the glow onto each frame of film. One duel required weeks painting over 10,000 frames. Lucas wanted simple colors: blue for good, red for evil. Artists worked in darkened rooms, eyes straining under magnification. When test audiences saw it, they gasped. Today, CGI makes lightsabers instant. In 1977, every flicker was human hands, one frame at a time. Number 12, Mark Hamill's face was rebuilt. Between filming, Hamill was in a severe car accident that shattered his nose and cheekbone. He required reconstructive surgery, and his face looked different. Lucas had a problem. Half of Luke's scenes were already shot, so he rewrote Empire Strikes Back's opening. The Wampy attack wasn't in early drafts. It was added specifically to explain Luke's facial scars. Hamill downplayed it for years, but crew members confirmed the panic. The accident wrote itself into myth. Number 11. The Death Star trench was model trains. The climactic trench run used model train technology. ILM built miniature trenches 4 feet long with cameras on motorized tracks. The Death Star surface was kit-bashed from hundreds of plastic model kits, tanks, ships, airplanes. You can spot Tiger tank parts and battleship details glued on. Explosions were real pyrotechnics filmed at high speed. 6 months to film minutes of footage. What looked like a billion-dollar station was plywood, glue, and toy parts filmed in a warehouse. Number 10. John Williams almost passed. Williams, fresh off Jaws, almost didn't score Star Wars. He met Lucas as a favor to Spielberg. He suggested something radical, a full romantic orchestra like 1940s serials. No synthesizers, just symphonic grandeur. The London Symphony was skeptical. One violinist called it film music for a children's cartoon. But Williams insisted this mattered. When the film opened, his score became one of the most recognizable pieces of music in history, winning the Oscar and proving the skeptics wrong. Number 9. The opening crawl was last-minute panic. The famous crawl wasn't in early cuts. Test audiences were lost, confused about the Empire and Rebellion. Number 8. Peter Cushing's shoes hurt. Grand Moff Tarkin's Imperial boots were too small. Peter Cushing couldn't walk in them. Lucas needed Tarkin to project menace, not limp in pain. Number 7. Carrie Fisher had no bra. Lucas banned Fisher from wearing a bra, claiming there's no underwear in space. His reasoning: in zero gravity, the body expands and undergarments would strangle you. Fisher called it ridiculous, but complied, using gaffer's tape to prevent wardrobe malfunctions. She spent decades mocking Lucas for the policy, turning it into comedy gold. The absurdity defined their relationship, Lucas dictating impossible physics with a straight face. Number 6. R2-D2 was played by a man who hated it. Kenny Baker, 3 feet 8 inches tall, was crammed inside R2-D2 for grueling 12-hour days. The droid had no ventilation. Baker regularly passed out from heat exhaustion. He and Anthony Daniels despised each other. Daniels found Baker crude. Baker thought Daniels was a pretentious snob. They barely spoke off camera. Their mutual loathing accidentally made the droids' bickering feel authentic. Number 5. The trash compactor almost killed them. The trash compactor walls were real, motorized, and capable of crushing actors if they malfunctioned. The mechanism jammed twice during filming, requiring crew to manually pry walls apart, while Hamill, Fisher, and Ford waited, soaking wet and anxious. Fisher recalled genuine panic when her foot got stuck and the walls kept moving. Number 4. George Lucas had a heart attack scare. Midway through post-production, Lucas was hospitalized with severe chest pains. Doctors diagnosed hypertension and exhaustion. He was 32 and convinced he was dying. Studio battles, budget overruns, effects disasters, all of it pushed him to the breaking point. Number 3. The premiere was a panic. At the first test screening, the projector malfunctioned 20 minutes in. When it restarted, sound was out of sync. Lucas left convinced he'd made a disaster. Fox booked it in only 32 theaters opening day. Then lines wrapped around blocks. Theaters begged for prints. By the second weekend, it played in over 400 theaters. Lucas was in Hawaii with Spielberg, hiding from what he thought would be humiliation. When his agent called screaming that Star Wars was destroying box office records, Lucas didn't believe it. The panic turned to legend overnight. Number 2. It was almost called Adventures of Luke Starkiller. Early drafts were titled The Star Wars from the Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Whills, Saga 1. Lucas workshopped dozens of names. Starkiller sounded too violent. Journal of the Whills confused everyone. Weeks before release, he simplified it to Star Wars. The Episode 4 subtitle wasn't added until 1981. That last-minute change saved the franchise. Luke Starkiller sounds like a B-movie. Star Wars sounds like mythology. Sometimes the smallest decisions carry the most weight. Number 1, Lucas thought it would flop. Lucas was so convinced Star Wars would fail that he skipped the premiere. While Hollywood celebrated, he was in Hawaii with Spielberg, planning Raiders as distraction from the disaster he thought he'd made. He'd poured everything into a film the industry mocked. If Star Wars changed your life, if you remember the first time you saw The Crawl, or if you've spent years debating Jedi philosophy, drop a comment. Tell us your favorite hidden fact or what legendary film we should expose next. Because some movies don't just succeed. They survive impossible odds and prove that rebels always win when they refuse to surrender.